Good morning, everybody. Noodle Thumb here. Today I've got for you this Dome X10. X. It's IX, but I like saying X. This is an interesting lock, chiefly because I got it keyless and made from this Diebold key blank. Made a key. You can see there it's got some super glue on it for a little extra jank. Drilled used a Dremel burr to cut the dimples. So it's gonna be a use limited key, of course. I've got a bigger brass bar that I may use at some point to make a more proper, more permanent key for it. It takes some wiggling, some jiggling to get this key to work, but as you can see there, the key does eventually operate the lock. So, as Brian Fellow says, let's get going. The actual special thing about this lock is it's got these shark fin pins, key pins. So the bearing surface is a little bit different from your usual dimple lock, or pin tumbler lock for that matter. I am using a 2mm bar for this rather than a usual dimple tensioner. I'm going to change the angle of the camera a little bit, elevate you as usual so you're not just staring at my hand the whole time. Let's see if that gives a decent, that should give a decent picture of the actual face of the lock. So this one I've been picking on for a while. As I've mentioned before, it does take me some time to get a feel for a lock, to get an idea what the pins feel like when they are set, when they're loose. Get to know the topography of the inside of the lock, have an idea where I am in there. And often, once I've done that, the lock itself comes together pretty quickly. And that's kind of been the case with this one. I picked on it for a little bit. Made the key actually because I wanted to progressive pin it, because I like to progressive pin. I just find it fun. And so I did the left row, and then I did the right row. Oh, a little core movement there, that felt good. And then I got a nice little shipment of locks from Red Wanderer, which, included that Opnus XZ that I made the video of yesterday. And I thought, I'm not really feeling this IX right now. I think I'll set it aside for, an evening and pick this XZ. Well, the XZ took more than, a few minutes to pick. Took a few days. And then when I came back to this yesterday, I felt like I knew what I was doing. So, I guess all that to say, not a bad thing to take a break from a lock and come back to it if you're not feeling it. Sometimes just clunking around the inside of a different one can, I don't know, I guess, give your mind some time to unconsciously settle stuff into place, or give your fingers a little reset and come back to it fresh. I also find that's true when I'm picking later at night. Sometimes there comes a time when I just need to go to bed, and then first thing in the morning I pop it. Not sure what's going on here. I haven't felt anything set for these last couple rounds. What I'm doing is just going from pin to pin, testing each one down the line. I feel I may have overset pin 4 on the right hand side. I felt kind of a bloom when I set it, and sometimes a romp is a good thing, and sometimes it's an overset. And since I was running my mouth at the time, I wasn't paying real close attention to the feedback I was getting. Oh, nope. I just felt a little bit of core movement there. So, just as I was, again, running my mouth, I got a little more good stuff. And now there's a real hard binder way in the back. Having a little trouble getting under it. Okay, that felt, I think, good. A little more core movement there. This doesn't isolate left and right. Sometimes when you get multiple rows, a lock will isolate really well, where you just pick one row, pick the other row, and then you're good to go. This is not that. So again, I'm just moving from pin to pin, testing each one, moderate tension. I do tend toward the lighter tension end of things, but that hasn't worked for, well, this or the XZ actually. I needed a little stouter tension than I had expected. I wonder if that one in the back is not all the way set yet. Having trouble feeling it, which tells me it's probably set then. Usually when one is not set, it kind of snags the pick as you go over it. feel anything doing that right now. I haven't made the rainstorm, so I don't think I've overset anything. It is a conundrum. Where's the hidden binder? Okay, 1, 2 is fine. There we go, 3 on the left side. So when in doubt, slow down more, right? And there we have the open. Sweet. All right. Elevation. Devacuuming. Take the lock out of the vise and bring it down. There. Hasty exit on the vise. Let the focus go auto again. And there is our beautiful tray. I really do want to make or buy a new tray. The problem is I really like this one. I'm used to it, it's comfortable. Maybe I should do a tiny little bit of sanding and then put some tung oil on it or something like that. Okay. Shimmy, shim, shimmy, shim. What do I do for the shimmy shim? Just take the quarter tension off. Oh. Yeah. This is a pain in the butt to shim because it, I'm not sure if it's because of the sloped nature of the chambers, you know, since they're offset or what, but it likes to really grab the shim as you try to insert it. And as I say that, it's actually going much smoother this time than it usually goes. No, there we go. Okay. There. That is by far the smoothest shim insertion I've had on this lock. All right. I'm using a little bit undersized follower on this, and that is because otherwise it's really tight. Okay. Let's see, I'll put that right there. And you'll see in here, it's got 3 wafers on that left side. Chambers 2, 3, 4. And that is so that I could make the key. So these middle divots are very shallow. They don't look it because they're so wide. That's because I used a round burr here. If I didn't mill the key at all, those pins were just a fraction of a millimeter below shear, and I could not open the lock with the key. I did try it with just those 3 key pins, and it did not work. This is just a spacer so your drivers don't fall into the keyway. Let's see. All right. I'm going to use that front ramp on the key. Just to bump these key pins up a little bit. Nope, not going to stay. All right. Well, let's just see if I can dump them into my fingers nicely then. Nope. The odd shape of these pins also makes it a challenge to gut sometimes. Alright, so left side. I think I'm just going to put all my springs over on the side. So I'll have left side pin stacks and right side pin stacks. I just dropped a wafer. I knew that would happen at some point. Okay. There's right side. 1. See, that wafer was off of left side 2. God, I'm all shaky. Only had my 1 cup of coffee this morning, but I think I'm excited. It doesn't come through in my voice that much, but I am. After this, I have to pick which black belt lock I'm going to do next and get second done. I may do the twin 6K that Vector Potential lent me. The other thing I'd entertained is episode 4 of Noodle Thumb versus the Cursed Yale Bee. I don't know if I have that in me right now. I am coming off a couple, victories with the XZ and this, but I don't know if I'm that brave. I'll step back into the ring with that beast. We'll see how I feel after jiu-jitsu. Oh, come on. Scrape. There we go. I don't know what the normal positions for the anti-drill pins are, but it's got 1 and 2 and 4 on the left side, and I don't think it has any on the right. When I got this lock, it was more mastered. It had 3 other wafers in it, so I took out as many as I could while still being able to make a working key. But I couldn't get those last 3. Well, not without a very significant amount of work. I do have some brass bar that's 2 millimeters thick. I think it's 2 millimeter. That I could use. I'd have to file it down to the thickness of the keyway, and then put these milling stripes in it to accommodate the warding. Let's actually see if I can show you the warding. Yep, so you can see right about where my prongs are. There's warding, and then 2 more rows right here. The width of this key is such that I didn't have to do this leftmost warding, so I just have 2 stripes up on what's the top right now, and then 1 down the middle on the bottom. So I'd have to mill those in by hand because I don't have tools. And then, like I said, file it down to thickness. I didn't feel like doing that right now. That may be a project for another time. I kind of like making keys. I should have done videos on these, but I made a couple of tabernacle keys. Let's see. So the far one is going to become the near row. Made a couple of tabernacle keys because our one of our parishioners lost the extra key to our tabernacle, and so Father said I would really not like to go on one key, so that was a lever lock. So I took the layers of an ABUS laminated padlock for the key bow and the teeth, and then a roll pin for the shaft of the key. That was a pretty cool process. I had to do some brazing, which I've not successfully done before. Why is it? Had to obviously shape the teeth. Took a few trials of doing it and then heading out over after Mass and giving it a try and being rejected, and then finally got it to turn. And then, as with such projects, usually if you do a good job on one, you get another. So I went out to another parish about 40 miles from here that had a pretty janky backup key, and made a new one. I'm just dumping out all the springs, like I said I would. I've tried taking the springs out of this in organized fashion, and I think it is a fool's errand. There's nothing special about the springs anyway in this particular lock. Let's see, there's 5, 6. And another 2. And then I'll have to fetch the others. Let's see, there's 1. And where's the last? There it is. All right. Ten springs. Let's. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Nothing real special down in here. You can just see the 2 rows of chambers. There is this little, these grooves there. You can feel them. It's pretty shallow. I'm not sure what they're for. Maybe they use the same lock for some that have sidebars, but they're, I don't know, like I said, pretty shallow. But nothing special about the chambers or anything. On the core, similarly, nothing special. There's not any milling or anything like that. There's this flat section that the basically shim goes in. I got these passive pin areas. Maybe that's what it's for. I wonder if I'm missing passive pins. That is possible. This lock didn't come with any, but I guess that doesn't mean it's not supposed to, as I say that. Nope, I think that's just gunk. I did put this in a solvent bath and shake the bejesus out of it for a few days, but obviously still gunk. I now do have an ultrasonic cleaner, which I need to figure out how to use. Anyhow, that's the core. Get you a close-up of the pins. Let's see. Yeah, that's still pretty. So we can see those shark fins on the key pins. There's a couple of the drivers with tapered sections. I did feel those are a couple of the pins that I had to set more than once, and I'm guessing it was those. This one here too. That was the one that was hiding, and I spent forever trying to find it till I gave it a goodly shove. Anyhow, Dom IX10, everybody. You have a good one.